when he has an opportunity and joins us on these interviews, and he says hello right there from his office. Brian, great to have you with us here. It's a pleasure. Is it harder to play on the West Coast after the Mets win to match them, or after the Mets lose where you can pick up a game? Which one is harder?
Yeah, you know what? It's hard to play on the West Coast, period. I mean, these are rough games. It's always a rough stretch, especially this time of year. But, I'd be lying if I didn't say we did a little scoreboard watching, when you're out here and those games are over. But you know what? It's not 4th and 1. It's tough to win a baseball game. And regardless, I mean, obviously you want to try and pick up a game if you see they've lost. But that's easier said than done.
And obviously, last time you had a chance to do that with the Mets losing to the Cubs the night before, a little trickier. But you're tied theoretically. You got an extra couple games you got to play, but you're tied in the loss column in the NL East, which is a hell of an achievement when you were 23 and 27. Are you a little worried about the closing scenario? That was a rough loss Sunday in Seattle. Jansen has 7 blown saves. I know I know that you are a steady hand. You never panic, but I mean that's a situation you got to be somewhat concerned about. Give me some thoughts on that for a sec. Let me hear.
I'm sorry, I lost you there, Chris, for a second. Would you repeat that?
Are you a little worried, Brian, about the closing scenario with Jansen, 7 blown saves, including Sunday? I know you're a steady hand. You usually go with the flow. What's your take on that for a sec? Let me hear.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know what? It's that closing spot's not unlike any other in this game. This is a hard game to play, and those guys go through spells too. I actually thought Friday night in Seattle, Kenley threw the ball about as well as he has all year. He threw the ball really well last night, and it's easy to do that. But you know what? You got to get to the 9th inning to those guys, and there's some really high leverage guys that you use to get there. That if you take them out of that spot, you may not be in the 9th inning. So we're just, Kenley's working at it. He's done a great job for us all year. I mean, it's something it's like I say, when those guys have a bad night, you lose, and it's tough. And you know what? They're human. They have to work through sometimes some things too. So, right now we're gonna,
stick with them.
Toe the line here.
Yeah, stick with him. I get it. Albies with his injury, it sounds like he's pretty close. Brian, how about him, your second baseman? Let me hear.
Yeah, no, you know what? He played 9 innings last night. Everything went well. He's got 9 innings again today. Then I'm sure we're going to evaluate tomorrow on the off day. So things are going well. I mean,
what are you going
to? He's moving around good and all that. So we'll probably evaluate tomorrow.
What are you going to do with your lineup if he can come back? Grissom's done a good job. You're going to have to find some spots. How are you going to handle that? That's a manager's job. Yeah. Keep everybody happy and play. How are you going to do that? Let me hear.
Well, I don't care. You know what? As long as they're playing, I don't really care if they're happy or not. But it's, it's a good problem to have when you have too many players. You're saying Griss has done a great job here. He's come in and filled that void extremely well, as did Orlando Arcia when Ozzie went down. I mean, this guy played great too. So, those things have a way of working themselves out. We'll evaluate everything and do what's best for the club and the people.
You're a home run hitting team, Brian. You like to hit the ball out of the ballpark. I've read all your quotes all year long. I follow you carefully. And, listen, hey, here's where we are, guys. When the ball leaves the ballpark, we're in good shape. It's case closed. And you've hit a million home runs. Somewhat concerned postseason with that approach? Give me your thoughts there. Let me hear. Go ahead.
You know what? Not really, because that's what you have to do in the postseason. I mean, the guys are in the postseason because their pitching's good, and it's hard to string together hits. I think that was a big key in our World Series run last year was we hit the ball out of the ballpark. You know what? It's a tough way to live, but like I've said many times, it's how we're built. It's what we do, so there's no change in it. And up to this point, it's worked okay. Like I say, it's a tough way to live, but in the postseason, that's kind of how you got to score.
What a pitching staff. Everybody talks. You may not be as top-heavy as the Mets with DeGrom and Scherzer, but I'll tell you, the kid has pitched great. Strider, you all know about Wright's got 17 wins. Fried, we all know how good he is. You got Charlie Morton sitting there. I mean, you've got very consistent, everyday starting pitching, Brian. You throw a guy out there, if he's the 4th starter, 5th starter, he's going to give you a quality effort. Let me hear your thoughts on that. Go ahead.
I think that's probably been a big key to our success is we've had 5 guys this year. We haven't ran that 5th starter through. I think when Spencer came out of the bullpen, he kind of solidified us having 5 real guys, and I think that's a big key in success for a club. He's been unbelievable, as all those guys have. I mean, Charlie, Max, Kyle, like I say, I think he won his 18th game last night, 19th game, or 18th game yesterday. So that's a big key, I think, into a team's success is when you have consistent starters, and we have a rotation now, and it's been a big key to our success this year.
Are there any numbers? Now, you're in a pennant race, which is most important. But at this time of the year, 20-something games to go, managers know, certain individual scenarios that players want to achieve, so you allow them to do that. And you don't have a pool situation with the 700 home runs, but do you have a scenario, Brian, that you got to keep an eye on? You'd like to see a guy do a certain thing, but you don't want to do that necessarily to compromise the division scenario? How about that down the stretch, you managing this ball club? Let me hear.
Yeah, if we do, I'm not aware. I'm sure guys have stuff in their contracts. I'm just trying, I think we're trying to do everything we can to win every game we play, because the right now the division is what we're chasing. When we leave spring training in March, the main goal is to win the division and give yourself a chance. So, we have our lineup. Those guys are going to play. If they reach some heights or whatever, then that's great. I'm so happy for them. But right now, I'm not focused on anything but winning today's game.
And 23-27, Brian. I know the Braves have been an excellent second-half team. Last year, same thing. But it's not like the Mets have been that bad. I know they've been spotty a little lately, but you walked into Citi Field there and you lost 4 out of 5 in August, early August. You went to Fenway. You won 2 games against the Red Sox, and you did not miss a beat. I don't know what you were in the last few days, but you were 21-5 as soon as that series was over. So you did not let that series take the wind out of your sails that first weekend at Citi Field, the doubleheaders and all those things. You deserve a lot of credit for that. Let me hear your thoughts there.
You know what? No, it's those guys in that room in there. They're resilient as they can be. They have a really good knack of turning the page and worrying about today. They don't dwell on things. It was a tough series in New York. Then we had a great series against them at home. So this thing is just so up and down. Our guys have a great way about them where they can put yesterday aside and focus on today. They're so consistent in their work, and when they come to the ballpark, it's the same thing every day. They go out and they have a lot of energy and they compete, and it's a lot to be said for the makeup of that clubhouse.
Have you looked at your rotation for the 3 games against the Mets in Atlanta at the end of the month?
No, I'm just, I'm worried about today and the next 3 games. It's going to be a tough weekend against the Phillies, too. So we got coming up. I'm more worried about that than I am the last 3 home games.
Great job, Brian. Always a pleasure. Another superb job you managing this team. We'll keep in touch. Thanks very much here today, pal.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you having me. Thank you.